Hello everybody, Dave the Caregiver here with my 5 minutes of Dave's Hammock wisdom. So I was thinking about what to talk about today, and it just popped into my mind. What is your destiny? Everybody has a destiny, and this doesn't matter if you believe in God or you don't believe in God. I thought it was interesting. I was listening to a talk show radio host yesterday, and he was talking about how the world is better under the Judeo-Christian ethic than it is under the atheistic ethic. And he cited examples as to going and looking at societies who are atheistic and asking, what have they contributed to the world? Is the world a better place under atheistic regimes? And let's face it, most atheistic regimes are communist or fascist. And he compared the two and recognized how Judeo-Christian ethic societies like America and like what used to be most of Europe, because Europe seems like it's turning. And this is not a political message, so calm down. How there just seems to be more hospitals and more schools and more caring, which is what the other side claims to do. But my purpose here is not to debate atheism and Judeo-Christian ethics. It's to talk about your destiny. My point for mentioning that is that you don't have to believe in God or not believe in God to either believe or not believe that you have a destiny, because I believe everyone has a destiny. I certainly do. And I think I did at an early age. I can't really remember thinking things like that, but just I remember believing that it was something I was supposed to do. And you look around at all the famous people out there, and even the people who are not famous, like, for example, Billy Graham's father. Nobody knew who he was. All he did was raise a son. And I think he raised him in the middle of a depression. And yet, look at Billy Graham and all he accomplished throughout his lifetime. And not only him, but other famous people who probably the person more famous than them is their parent who raised them, who had the responsibility of nurturing them and guiding them and disciplining them when they needed to be, and so on. So what's your destiny? What are you passionate about? What do you dream about? What can't you get out of your mind? And before you say that caregiving is your destiny, and it might be, but caregiving might just be preparing you for your destiny. Caregiving might be giving you the tools that you need to enter into your destiny. The patience, the peace, the empathy, all the attributes, the kindness, the long suffering. If you know what that word, it just means just like it sounds, long suffering. And I think every caregiver goes through long suffering. The self-discipline. The organization. There are so many things that a caregiver will learn by being a caregiver that will prepare them for their destiny, that will prepare them to be a better person in life, that will make them more perfect. Nobody's going to reach perfection as long as we're on this earth, but we're to strive for perfection. And that's why societies, the successful ones, have worked so well, because they strived to be better people. They strive to be more perfect people. And then there reaches a point in every society where that gets corrupted and the dark side comes in, and then they no longer have morality. They no longer have ethics or integrity. They seem to get blurred, and there's something called situational ethics. If it feels good, it must be right to do. Well, not necessarily. I mean, I know it feels good to eat 100 chocolate chip cookies and a gallon of ice cream, but I don't feel good afterwards. It only feels good while you're doing it. and then the joy is gone. Or as B.B. King says, the thrill is gone, and then that joy is gone. And it wasn't really joy, because joy is lasting, I believe. It was just a cheap thrill. The thrill is gone. And I don't know about you, but I'm 64 now. I don't know if I'll ever get used to saying that. I'm 64 now, because I just had a birthday. And you know you're old when you have to stop and think, how old am I? But anyway, I'm 64, and I am starting to realize that I forgot what I was going to say. See, that's another thing that happens when you're 64. But let me see if I can backtrack and see where I was going with that. But I believe that the older you get, the more you realize as you approach the end, whatever the end is, and you realize you're in your final stretch and you're in your last lap, so to speak, you really want life to matter. And it's really important to start living kind of like it was the last year of your life. Because you think about all the things that you want to be remembered for. You think about all the things that are really, really important. And, the things that I really spent a lot of time on worrying about, or just so concerned that if I didn't do this, that the world was going to fall apart. Those things really weren't important. Things that are important weren't how much I spent on that, or that I overspent on that, or they ripped me off on that, or this guy, did me wrong. Things that are really important are my relationships. How much time did I spend with my loved ones? And how much did I pour into them where they're a better person? It's like Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life. I call that the It's a Wonderful Life syndrome. Would the world be a better place with you or without you? Remember, he was contemplating suicide because he couldn't pay a bill because the money was stolen from him. And it just seemed like everything he was doing, everything he was working for was not worth it. Nobody cared. And he wasn't making a difference. He was working day and night. He could have gone to Europe and Paris and traveled and had fun, but instead he stayed in Bedford Falls, just trying to make it a better place, hoping people appreciated. And it took an angel to let him know what the world really would be like without him. And it was a terrible place. And there's a reason why that movie is a classic, because I could relate to it. And I know you could too. There's many times that I wondered if the world would be better if I wasn't born. That, what difference was I making? I know I'm running over 5 minutes. I'll cut it short real fast here. And I know you must be thinking the same thing. What difference are you making? Why were you put on this earth? And my answer to you is just keep doing what you're doing and have faith that what you're doing makes a difference. Because it does. Or you wouldn't be doing it. And unless you're just miserable in your job, miserable in what you're doing, miserable in your so-called purpose, then maybe you need to re-examine it. Have that midlife crisis that's long overdue, and just ask yourself, what am I passionate about doing? How do I want to spend the last year of my life? If I knew I was going to die 12 months from today, what would I do differently? And so that's a very important question I challenge everyone to ask themselves. So think about it, contemplate it, meditate on it, pray about it. God bless you, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Oh, hello, everybody. Paul, how you doing? Bruce, Dodie, good to see you guys. Bye-bye.